Hi, this is a video for the beta of Chessvis 3.1. I wanted to go over some of the new features quickly, hoping that you'll become a beta tester, and this will give you an idea of the things that I need tested and also maybe some of the things that will excite you to use the program more. So one of the first items is major changes on the puzzle options, the very first item. Let me bring that up and I can chat about why I did this and what I did. So you'll see here that the number of options has been expanded. The reason for that was I was getting comments from people, especially about the visualized puzzles, that they were too difficult. Once you started trying to do more of the visualizing by increasing the number of moves that you had to envision in your head, solving difficult puzzles was a challenge. My suggestion to people is that they change the puzzle category to something simpler like one move or two move puzzles. So what I decided to do was to make it so each puzzle type, the regular puzzle, the visualized puzzle, and the timed puzzle can also have their category set individually. So you didn't have to like go back and forth depending on whether or not you were doing regular puzzles and wanted to do them more complicated and visualized simpler. So in the middle of the screen, you'll see where it says visualize puzzle category. You can change you can go to, one move puzzle or any of the categories. This is a list that's existed, but the new thing is that it now is replicated 3 times. Also, I have enabled people to set their rating target for each of the 3 different puzzle types. So it will adjust as you do more puzzles, but it become a starting point. So again, with comments from the visualize, that again, the idea was simpler puzzles. You could go in and change the rating, which in the middle of the screen, from 1500 all the way down to 600 and all the way up to 2800. But and you can do that for regular puzzles also. For example, it will show you what your current target rating is, and you can that will get included in the list. So, for example, we could go to 1100, and we could let's say we wanted to focus on a very simple attacking F2 and F7 squares, and so pick that one in the middle. And so now we're going to focus on easy targeting of F2 and F7. So once you do that, then you can go back into here, which you've seen before from most of this is the same from version 3.0. So we can go into puzzles. And now when we do this, it's going to start with the rating that we picked, 1100, and it will pick a puzzle very close to that because I tightened up the rating bands, and it will be stuff aiming at focusing on the targeting the F2, F7 square. So I am guessing the move is to take the F7 pawn with the white bishop. Now, one of the other things I have done is added what I guess call tap and go. I have had drag and drop where you put your finger on the piece and slide it to where you want it to go. Now you can also simultaneously instead do tap the piece, and it will tell you where it can go, and then you can tap where you want it to go, and you can tap and go. You can also still do drag and drop. It is smart enough to figure that out. So we can tap on the queen and drag it to take the that pawn. So you can do both, and it just doesn't matter. You can tap and go, and that's it. So yeah. So the other thing that has changed on this is the addition of offline puzzles. The idea here is that you can download a collection. Right now it downloads 2,000 puzzles at a time. So one question I have for you, for people that are not located near the server, is this sluggish? I, I like grabbing a lot of puzzles because I don't want you to run out of puzzles, but maybe it's blatantly excessive, and so I could download fewer. But if it's not sluggish, then I'm not going to worry about it. So to do offline puzzles, what you do is you do the last item, which is called Puzzle Sync. That will go out and grab a new set of puzzles. It follows the option setting for regular puzzles. So I think that we have like at 11 or 1200 and attack of the F2. So it will grab, when I tap Puzzle Sync, it's going to go out and grab up to 2,000 puzzles around 1100 for that particular type. The -0 tells me that I haven't done any offline puzzles that need to go to the server. So, I mean, you can literally do this in airplane mode. That's sort of the idea. For me personally, I take the train into New York City sometimes, and internet is spotty. So I would much prefer to just grab a bunch of puzzles, do them on the train. So here we have synced. And so let's click on offline practice. It will look very familiar because it's basically as the same as sitting at the machine. So we can do start, and these are still attacking F7. So here looks like we do that, and we're good. And now we get another one, and looks like I'm guessing we fork this time, and we take the rook, and everybody's happy. Let's do one more, and we can see what that's like. So let's see, how should we do this? So let's see what happens if we take that one. Yes, we took that. They took back with the queen, and we do that. So again, it's just like sitting there. It's not going to dynamically change the range beyond what we selected before, but it has grabbed them from the rating and the category we specify. So let's say we're done. Go back to the menu. Now you can see that there's a 3 on the end of the puzzle sync. That means there's 3 puzzles that are stored on the device that need to be sent to the server. So let's go ahead and do a puzzle sync. It will send those 3 to the server, and it will get new puzzles centered around the new rating. Now, let's say we wanted to do some toughy puzzles. Let's go back to, let's do all, and then we'll change the rating to 2000 because this is all totally under our control. And now if we do a puzzle sync, it will go out and grab a bunch of generalized puzzles around the 2000. We can do those offline and again do a puzzle sync. I think that pretty much covers the changes for puzzles. So the other big area of changes is the reports and the graphs. So let's tap on that. You'll notice that there's now only one rating graph. I now call it rating over time graph. That's because there are now a bunch of pop-up options that let you specify things. So let's go ahead and go into that, the first item. So this has changed quite a bit. First thing you'll notice is a set of buttons at the bottom. These bring up a bunch of pop-ups. Let me show you the time period. So now you have control over things. Before I do that, note the title line, which says that this is a rating graph for the last 24 hours showing all the puzzles. So before I describe what's on the screen, let's just bring up one of the pop-ups so you can see what that looks like. So let's tap on time period. So here you can see I can select the different time periods for my puzzles. I can go to the last 7 days, for example. and it will then show me all the puzzles I've done for the last 7 days. I've been much more on the development server. That's why you don't see a lot. The blue dots represent puzzles at that rating that I did successfully. Red dots are puzzles that I did not do successfully. This is shown over time with the most recent puzzle on the right-hand edge. The black line, let me describe that for just a second. The black line is a new type of rating that I have called, I call it right now, strength rating, open to different names if you have a suggestion. The idea here is that it's a rating that you don't get to, users do not get to change. It's internally calculated. Anytime you do a puzzle that's in the all category and not timed and not visualized, it will impact that rating. So you can, even though you can jump around with ratings and do tough puzzles, easy puzzles, those will only impact the strength rating if they're in the all category. Just as though if you sat down at an over-the-board game against somebody 200 points above you or 200 points below you, it generates an impact on your rating. The same thing here. I really like giving users control over rating of the rating area for the puzzle difficulty. If they bought a puzzle book, they're more than welcome to turn to the section of the book that has hard puzzles or easy puzzles. And by giving users on the options screen the ability to select the type of puzzle they want to do, could be one move, it could be 5 move puzzles, it could be very complicated puzzles, or they can change within that. They can also do easy puzzles by changing the rating. I still wanted there to be a rating that sort of gives you an indication as to your puzzle strength. Every other website has that, and I felt if I didn't provide that, it would be sort of missing. So the black line is this strength rating. Offline puzzles will impact that, again, if they are selected from the all group, all category, then they will impact that. Granted, there's no labeling of a legend on here. I wanted, I guess, to wait and see what you guys felt about this. So again, some of the other pop-ups are like puzzle type. You can select any combination of regular, visualized, or timed, or all. For example, we could go with see what the visualized puzzles. Haven't done very many of those in the last week, so maybe I should look at all for the visualized, and I still haven't done many of those. And go look at timed, much more timed puzzles. And for timed puzzles, I could go in and I could break it down, and I could see how I'm doing with 15-second puzzles. Lower rating, not so good. Maybe I need, when I have more time, I do better. And again, for visualized moves, if I select those, I've only been doing half move puzzles. So, but again, this enables you to control all the different aspects, and you can see that it's all related up in the title bar. So there on version 3.0, there used to be 3 of these graphs. Now, since there's a puzzle type pop-up, I don't need to clutter the menu with all of those. The second item is it's actually part of a triplet. There's the everyone's success graph. There's underneath the subscriber area, there's a my success and how am I doing kind of graph. Really needs to be said with a Brooklyn accent would be best. So the idea here is something like this was in the 3.0. So let's first look at my success, in which if you're a subscriber will show up. And again, this is something like this was in 3.0, except there the center line was all in reference to how well you were doing against your all category. The idea I was trying to show was which categories were doing better than all and which categories were doing worse than all by having it go right and left off of that. But that caused some confusion, made sort of for a bizarre looking graph depending on where they all ended up. So now instead everybody starts at 0, and you'll notice now that there are 5 buttons at the bottom. Some are repeated. There's now one more button that wasn't on the rating called display order. So again, here we can read at the top, this is my success for the last 7 days, all puzzles. The puzzle category, the number of puzzles I did is in parenthesis, followed by the percentage of those puzzles that I got right. I can change the time period, for example, and go to the last 30 days, and it will dynamically change, and we can scroll up and down. The all category is the black line, and which gives you the reference. So the blue ones are categories that I'm doing better than I do on average. The red categories are ones that I'm not doing so good at. You've seen the other categories, the other pop-ups in the middle. So let's look at display order. This lets you change the ordering of the bars. In addition, the first item is rating segments. Now you can get this same information, but broken down into 100-point rating buckets for the puzzle. So you can see that I do better on the easier puzzles. I'm a lot of blue. As you go further up on the hardness of the puzzles, I more red. I do worse than I do on average, which sort of makes sense. But for the categories, there are 4 different options. One is you can have the categories in alphabetical order. Sometimes that's good if you're trying to find a category. Sometimes it's difficult to find if they're not in alphabetical order. But this gives you an idea how fast it appears. And again, we can scroll up and down. I can go to include all data, get a few more lines going. And then we can change the we can do it in success order. And again, now we can see which areas I do the best and which ones I do the worst. Most puzzles. So they all obviously would be first, and then followed by the puzzles in order of ones that I've done the most to the least. And then lastly, the same order that's on the option list. So that might be easier for you to recognize. The other buttons you've seen. So let's bounce up now to everyone's success graph. This is the exact same information that I presented, but includes everybody in that solved the puzzle in Chessvis. So I have put this above the line so that even non-subscribers can see this. And again, this is for everybody that's in the system. Change the time period, for example, the sort order. Same type of thing, the exact same thing, but you can see there are a lot more columns here because it's everybody. So this, I mean, blatantly, one of my ideas is that people will see this, see how cool the graph is, and then want to go ahead and subscribe. And then the how am I doing graph is a comparative graph. So it sort of marries the two success graphs that you just saw. So the solid bar is your data, and the hollow bar is the overall everybody. So this shows you how you're doing against the entire user community. So here with mate and ones, I'm actually doing better than the overall crowd. And we can just scroll up and we can see that in in the last 7 days, that my only one that I'm doing worse has been a 3 move. So we can, again, we can go to, it's only been going on for what, a month or so. But again, you can see that there are a whole bunch of other areas that I'm not doing so well in. We can change it for to also most puzzles. And we can see that for all, I'm doing just slightly worse than the overall user community. And again, so that's the idea. The options that you see below on the pop-ups, you've seen those also. Um, Anything else? I think that's about it. Um, so expanded options, expanded options, the um, the tap and go type thing, the offline puzzles, and in the expanded graphics. That's about it. The one other thing is the tap and go. Yeah, that also is in everything else. So I mean, if we go over to Opening Explorer, that also exists there. So we can do tap and go. We can do drag and drop, tap and go. If you wouldn't mind experimenting with that, that would be very nice to know. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much, and thank you for all your suggestions over time, and thanks for taking the time to watch the video, and also to for beta feedback. Bye.